Hey aspirants, welcome to Insights IAS initiative. Hope you all are preparing well for the upcoming prelims. So today we'll discuss a very common and widely popular topic that is money can't buy artificial intelligence. So you all would have been aware about the new AI tool developed by China called Deepseek, which has created a lot of, we can say, sensation in the market and amidst the people who are tech enthusiasts. So here if you see, this particular news is very relevant for us because this year the Nobel Prize for physics and chemistry, both of them have been given to inventions with respect to artificial intelligence. So in prelims, we can expect a question around the technology that goes into developing this AI tools for prelims perspective. When you talk about mains perspective, we may directly get a questions in science and technology page about what are the technologies. Let's say they may ask us briefly explain the functioning of large language module. Can India have one of its own? And what are the challenges that is associated with developing a large language module? So any technical details with respect to this can be asked, but how we are trying to convey this in ICANN is how we can use this in our various answers as an example. So let us just briefly look into what exactly has happened here. All of you would have known. It could be just a quick revision for you. So AI industry and US tech giant stocks have really shaken by this extraordinary announcement made by a small company of 200 people from China, as they have developed a open source AI chatbot, and the name of it is already Deepseek. So here this AI model is considered to be equal or even better than the multi-billion-dollar AI tool models created by, let's say, OpenAI or Google's Deep Minds. So here, what was the advantage they had over the others is, in a record short time of just 2 months, this whole concept was developed, and it cost them a fraction of the amount spent by the tech giants of the world like USA. So it's only $6 million. So we usually have a perception that uh, this kind of huge technologies, we need a lot of money to train the large language module, need a lot of data sets and data centers to store them, lot of electricity is needed to take care of them. Hence, the bigger the better is a perception we have. But this China's innovation has told that this is just a myth. So it is believed that AI progress depends on enormous computational power and vast data set is needed for it. At the same time, billions of funding is also needed, and massive data centers which store data is also very much needed. And when it comes to the requirement of advanced GPUs also are needed. But AI or the Chinese company has achieved this milestone under sanctions, which was one of the most surprising thing. That is, if you have read, Nvidia is a company that makes these GPUs, and USA has banned the export of Nvidia's chipsets to China, fearing that this innovation will slip into the hands of China. So this, in spite of this restricted access with the GPUs that are available with China, the outdated versions from them, they have created this AI model. And most importantly, it is open source. That is, the source code and the other details will be available to the general public. So it has kind of democratized the AI innovation field. Democratized in the sense, there may be many startups which would want to develop a protocol out of this AI model. There may be some researchers who can also get benefited out of it. Also, some small businesses who can develop their own module out of this code. Hence, they can build a whole set of technology advancement. So this is what has created a lot of sensation, whereas the ChatGPT or OpenAI version was mainly paid. Hence, if you see what is the important implication of it, if AI progresses now, not depending on expensive infrastructure, their value in the ecosystem will definitely come down. That is, we valued AI that it's a costly one, it's expensive, but now when it can be manufactured, when it can be created with least amount of money, this expensive value that we associate with AI will definitely evade. So many a times the AI tools have got the funding from venture capitalists so that they boost the creation of an AI tool. But now these venture capitalists could focus on smaller entities, because even these entities can develop their own versions of AI tools. So it is definitely going to be a game changer, and democratization effort is very genuine here. And then necessity driven innovation. So for China, they didn't have an option but to create a system with the available GPUs. As we have seen, they couldn't get access to the original or the latest versions of them due to the import ban. Hence, we call that necessity is driving this particular innovation. So what are the lessons that we have for India? Okay, lessons for India is that smartness is not scale. That is, you need not have large infrastructure to create a simple, or let's say a very tech efficient technology like this. So when large scale is not a matter, in the coming days India could play a major role in developing these kind of tools, especially when China has proved it to be right. So how is it possible for India to achieve this? We have a good amount of software talent, we must say. Indians have an engineering mindset. This is proven because of the growth of service sector. Then we also have a very good entrepreneur environment in the country, because of which creation of these kind of setups could be very much possible. And it is also something to do with decentralization of AI. Correct? Decentralization of AI can be achieved if India enters the race, especially. And why it is especially important for India is we can develop applications that are tailor made for Indian needs. Let's say, for example, we can tweak the system for agricultural usages, we can tweak the system for healthcare purpose. So all these are challenges unique to India, and we create a body or an entity like this, a chatbot like this, it could be very helpful for India to attain this unique challenges. At the same time, we have certain concerns with the product because it is open source. It comes with the challenge of misuse, especially from non-state actors, or we can tell some kind of rogue states who might weaponize the whole process. So when they use it as a weapon in the war, it would be dangerous. Hence, India and other countries need to spearhead a movement where we create a framework for responsible use of AI and balance between technology and security. So this would be the concluding part of our concept. So now how do we use them in our answers? When this is the question, GS paper 2, governance. Right? In this, when we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliance, India could take a key from how China has developed itself. At the same time, when we talk about international relations, how trade restrictions enables a country to lead innovation. This could be a discussion in our paper 2 IR. The same time, as I've already mentioned, GS paper 3, technology needed for digital economy. right? This is a technology that we need for digital economy. At the same time, in economy segment, this is going to be a strategic industry coming forward, and we need to be self dependent on such industries, right? So we have a practice essay as well, based on what Steve Jobs has told. Innovation is the ability to see change as an opportunity, not a threat. So this is a case study exactly of what China has done, where it is, the change was that the import of chipsets were banned, and it was not seen as a threat but an opportunity to create a better version of the AI tools. So try to engage the news in this way, where you can also use them in your answers, not just passively note it down as points that are important for prelims. So the second topic was editorial based from the Deccan Herald newspaper, called A Non-Binary Lens on Classroom Inclusivity. So if you see the image here, it is representing that two symbols are talking about male and female, and the other one is nothing but the third gender. So we usually have a binary idea of gender, that is, it's either male or female in the classrooms of our schools and colleges. But the author in this article is telling about when Supreme Court has designated a separate status to transgenders, why hasn't it not percolated to the classrooms from where the future of the world is shaped? So we'll quickly discuss the various aspects of this. So if you see here, inclusive education, when we talk about it, what does it truly mean, especially in a classroom? Right? What is the meaning of inclusive education in a classroom? So especially for students who have a non-binary identity. So if you have read the newspapers carefully, this topic is also important, because very recently Donald Trump, in his campaign, in his announcement, told that in USA there is going to be only two genders, male and female. There is no recognition, legal status given to the non-binary gender or the transgender or even LGBTQ community. So in this context, we in India currently have non-binary students have a lot of issues, especially in a binary oriented classrooms. So if you see, recently Karnataka High Court has given a directive to National Law School of Indian University to uphold constitutional guarantees for transgenders and give 0.5% reservation in law courses. Okay, so this was announced by the Karnataka government recently. So this case is highlighting a broader systemic failure, we must say, broader systemic failure of mainstream society, how it is ignoring to address the concerns of the non-binary students. So what we have to do is unlearning the normal, that is, unlearning what is normally taught in the classrooms. So the first discussion here could be education system are usually considered to be spaces of critical thinking, right? So what schools have ended up today? Are we encouraging critical thinking in the schools? No, it is about prioritizing individual achievement or to meet the societal goals. Correct? Societal goals or expectations. So if we had encouraged the concept of critical thinking, non-binary identity would be allowed in the school. The second identity, the problem is about challenging conventional norms. Most of the time, this conventional norms are overlooked in the schools, especially, for example, transgender identity. So conventional norms tell that this is not a true one, it is a kind of disease that people have which can be cured. But the schools are the entity where critical thinking should be encouraged and we can challenge the conventional norms. But this is usually not done. So classroom should help the students to unlearn this identity and accommodate individuals, right? We need to accommodate individuals from multiple identities. That is when the classrooms are going to turn inclusive. So next one will be looking into what are the legal framework that we have for the protection of transgender persons. First one is Right to Education Act 2009, which gives constitutional equality to different people. Then in 2014, the national NALSA verdict, which tells that transgender need to be recognized as a third gender in the country. This was supported by the Navtej Singh Johar verdict, where it went ahead and decriminalized homosexuality. Right, then Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act 2019, it laid the foundation, it laid the foundation for a broader acceptance and inclusion of queer individuals in our society. So what needs to be done to make our schools the actual place where these identities are recognized? So what needs to be done here? The first one is we need to focus on inclusive education, as the title of the article goes. So it should incorporate progressive representation of gender. Progressive representation of gender, where multiple identities are recognized and acknowledged in the schools. Then we can go ahead to talk about textbooks that the children learn from. So it should be integrating, textbooks should be integrating a neutral approach when they are teaching the lessons. So there should be a curricula and a classroom that practices non-binary mindset to be accepted. So this will go a long way. For example, if you take Kerala state as an example, Kerala state's textbooks are now gender neutral. That is, you'll see that father early in the morning cooks food for the daughter and mother is getting ready to go for job, to give an idea to the children that gender roles can be questioned, and in the household setups the asexual division of labor actually need not work. So this kind of textbook can revolutionize the whole generation, we must say. So the third one is teaching material. What do we use to teach in the classroom? For both students and teachers, it must represent diverse identities again. That is, teacher training needs to be done. Teachers needs to be trained how to give these kind of education, and teaching methods that can challenge the dominant cultural norms need to be adopted. And the very important one is anti-bullying practices. A robust policy needs to be done, and we need to have all gender toilets in the school. It is nothing but telling about a collective responsibility of the government and the people towards this. So what are the rewards we are going to get if we do this? We are cultivating empathetic social consciousness, both inside and outside the classrooms. Right, this is an important one. Plus we are going to create a more equitable society. So this topic, if you talk about where we are going to use it, education is a topic in paper 2 where its relevance is very important. Then GS paper 4, we have a topic called role of education in imparting ethics. So when we teach the students about the existence of multiple or non-binary identities, they will just understand that it is a reality, and they will be more empathetic, and the social consciousness will be high, and they are not going to discriminate against the transgenders. And when these kids become the policy makers, we can have a more equitable society. So in this example could be given in our paper 4 as well, along with the usage in paper 2. So the third article today would be commemorating the 77th death anniversary of Gandhiji on 30th of January. So if you see this, why should we remember Gandhi 77 years after he was assassinated? Because his legacy is of contemporary relevance, and we can say it has a universal importance even to the present day. So that's the reason why Gandhi needs to be remembered. And our ethics paper is really incomplete without mentioning a word of the ethics and the lifestyle that Gandhiji has been following. So why we need to follow is because Gandhi is a multi-dimensional personality. While he engaged in politics actively to provide freedom for the Indian citizens, he also gave insights into every walk of life. Talk about social justice, Gandhiji had an important role to play. Talk about peaceful resistance, Gandhiji had a point in himself. Talk about morality, Gandhiji had a lot of practice in himself, and he also was an active person in community and services. So, what are the reason the whole world remembers Gandhiji for? So, the first one would be the innovative theory and practice of satyagraha. So, if you already know this concept of satyagraha, it is protest against the authority for immoral act. It is a successful tool for resolving conflict, while traditional methods, they tell that we need to improvise coercion and violence in order to fulfill or to bend the authorities. But Gandhian idea talks about power of truth, love, and non-violence. He talks about appealing to the moral conscience of the oppressor. So, with this, we can achieve any kind of changes that we need to bring in the system. So, if you see what is the global impact of Gandhiji, we have people like Nelson Mandela, who was a follower of Gandhiji. We have Le Walesa, who was a follower and who believed in the practices of Gandhiji, and he himself implemented this for the liberation of Poland. We also have Aung San Suu Kyi, who from Myanmar, who had an important role to be played in liberation of Myanmar from the British hands. So, Satyagraha is a powerful tool even today to make our governments accountable, and you see multiple protests happening across the country with different reasons. It is nothing but the idea of Gandhiji being lived every day in the country. So, what are the other reasons if we talk about? The second one would be Gandhiji's work, it addressed systemic inequalities. It addressed systemic inequalities, particularly those affecting the marginalized communities. So, if you remember, his campaigns were against caste discrimination, untouchability, gender equality. Then it is to continue to reflect, these ideas even now they are reflected in the Indian society, because we are working on an inclusive society and we are trying to make sure these inequalities are eradicated. So, at the same time, when we talk about countering crony capitalism, we need to, Gandhiji had given an idea of trusteeship, right? So trusteeship concept is something, a solution to crony capitalism is the modern day also. At the same time, he suggested cooperative societies and cooperative model of growth story as an alternative to capitalism and socialism. So the third concept of Gandhiji that we can remember even today is Gram Swaraj. So it is an example of empowering Indian villages, and in this, society is composed of autonomous, self-governing and self-reliant villages with decentralized power. So this self-sufficiency, Gandhiji's life was completely dependent on was based on the concepts of self-sufficiency. He was a person who was simple living, and responsible usage of resources was his motto. So at the time when we are facing brutal climate change and environmental crisis, his emphasis on sustainability and harmony with nature offers great lessons for us. So life should be free from excessive materialism is a practice that Gandhiji followed throughout his life. So in the modern ideas of over consumption, consumerism, that is driven by crony capitalistic ideas, to give a full stop to that, life free from excessive materialism could be a simple solution that Gandhiji suggests. At the same time, he spoke about spiritual connection between humanity and nature. So, if this spiritual connection is established, there is no doubt that humans will start respecting all forms of nature. But because of this disconnect, we are not able to save the nature from all the atrocities that we are doing today. So, the fourth major reason what is the relevance of Gandhiji today is he always spoke about morality in politics. So, he wanted the political leaders to be integral. He wanted them to practice humility. At the same time, he spoke about a great courage that needs to be possessed by the political leaders. So he told that leadership has always been rooted in moral conviction rather than power or wealth could inspire the societal transformation. So it's only the leadership that is rooted in moral conviction. So he not only preached this, he practiced this ethical leadership throughout his life, and by proving that the timeless power of non-violence and empathy and moral leadership would be relevant irrespective of the age, Gandhiji is relevant even today. So in today's polarized world, as India has been the Karma Bhumi and Janma Bhumi of Gandhiji, Gandhiji's teachings, they provide a blueprint for addressing global challenges, especially such as inequality. We have got the recent inequality report by Oxfam. So that also is an evidence about how we really need Gandhiji's principle. We are seeing that many countries, the democratic governments are turning autocratic and authoritarian. Even in such places, Gandhian idea of lack of power hungry political leaders is relevant. At the same time, we see many human right abuses going on in the world. Again, in this, Gandhiji's leadership gives us a lot of messages. So especially as I just mentioned, India is the Karma Bhumi and Janma Bhumi of Gandhiji. We have a greater responsibility in sustaining his teachings and becoming a role model to the world, as in how we need to behave at the time when the world is so polarized. So this article was an editorial from Indian Express written by one of the MPs of the parliament from Uttar Pradesh constituency. So remember, these ideas of Gandhiji, you can use it very flexibly in any of your GS answers where you find the right relevance for it. So the last topic today is a very interesting story from the life of a person called Sudhir Rajbhar. So you would have heard that, you would have read in your ancient Indian history textbooks that in India, we can say the fifth caste group, that is the caste apart from the four major Varna group, the fifth caste group people were considered to be untouchables, and they were given the name Dalit. And every Dalit community was given an occupation for themselves, and they were usually addressed with the occupation they are associated with. So, Chamar is one such occupation which deals with the skins and hides of the dead animal and making shoes and chappals and other leather artifacts out of it. So, this was a kind of derogatory term, and it was kind of an insult to be referred to as a chamar, because it is highlighting a Dalit identity. So it gave a lot of, the way the Dalits were treated, and even in many pockets of the country, even today that discrimination exists. This name usually was associated with the insult and a kind of derogatory term. So this person called Sudhir Rajbhar has changed a lot about this term and is now creating a fashion brand and a label called the Chamar Studio. So what is the story? Let's quickly look into it. Okay, Chamar is once used as an insulting term, is today in the form of the Chamar Studio. It is a symbol of pride for people. So if you understand the deep intentions of, or let's say how deep the caste system is entrenched in India, this story is very much relevant to our exams. So this we can say Chamar Studio is conceptualized by Sudhir Rajbhar, who grew up in a Mumbai slum or a chawl and struggled with his Dalit identity, because people would judge him, telling that you belong to this community and some occupations are not meant for you. So even though he belongs to the state of Uttar Pradesh, whenever he visited Uttar Pradesh, he always would be treated as an untouchable by people belonging to his own village. So this has moved the person a lot, and when he entered, even when, as a person who we can say pursued the passion of fashion industry, even in that elite industry, where we usually tell that with the process of urbanization, caste identity will slowly get vanished away. But that was proved wrong in case of this person, because even in the elite fashion industry of Mumbai, the doors were shut because his identity was a Dalit identity. So he took this as a challenge and brought together the Dharavi's skilled Chamar artisans and gave birth to something called as Chamar Studio. So this studio created various brands, like various products, and these products today have international market. So when there was a ban on beef and the skins of animals weren't available, this company completely shifted the process of their leather making to recycled rubber and canvas. So they started making products out of this and created wide ranging products like handbags, shoes, furniture, and other things. So today their products are worth lakhs of rupees. Okay, you can search it for yourself. The products of Chamar Studio today are selling in lakhs. So from Dharavi to Germany to Miami, these artisans today are now global talks. So this is indeed a very inspiring story, and it's very much useful in our answers. So in this image you can see a very popular singer, Rihanna, has used a chair which has become viral. It is a symbol of Dalit empowerment in disguise, because this is a product of Chamar Studio. So it is that popular internationally. So if you want to see how this is useful in our answers, basically GS paper 1 I just mentioned in Indian society, and the concept of untouchability directly, you can use the story of this individual. At the same time, how globalization as a idea gives liberation to many people by giving an international audience and market to them. So GS paper 2, why affirmative action or reservation is needed. When you get a question in this way, you can tell that though the identity of Dalit is not so in the outright, it is feeling that nobody discriminates these days, but definitely the discrimination exists, and to provide equality of opportunity, this kind of affirmative action is required. So GS paper 4, we can talk about stereotypes associated with the caste structure, and various caste based professions, they face a lot of biasness in the society. At the same time, the insults and discrimination that comes to them, it is all to be ended by giving opportunity in this form also. So when you take it on a personal note, it is the determination of a person that has led to a global brand called Chamar Studio to be developed. So if life throws a lemon at you, make a lemonade out of it. So this concept about risk taking is a trait of successful people is also very well explained in this particular example. So there is also a very good usage in our essay that was a previous year essay. You would have read it that a ship in the harbor is safe, but that is not what the ship is meant for. So for these kind of essays, The story we just read would be very interesting to write, and it's based on a real life experience. So stay with us to get more such informative stories so that your answers are standing out of the crowd and you definitely make it to the final list. Thank you so much for watching. Stay with us for the next episode.